Good evening and welcome to another MTV Community Forum. I'm your host Byron Campbell. Welcome wherever you are. And Chris Diali, co-host. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, Brian, and good evening to our listeners and viewers. We're happy to be in your bedrooms or wherever you are this evening to have another issue of Community Forum.
And Chris, you have the privilege of telling our viewers who our guest is tonight.
Right. So our guest in the second part of the program is Mrs. Stacy Liebert. She is the current CEO, Chief Executive Officer of the Grenada Tourism Authority. So she's going to be joining us to talk everything touristic.
Fine, great, yeah. Chris, a recent development is happening as we speak. A Grenada Canada-India Trade Mission here. It's a high-level delegation of investors, business leaders, institutional stakeholders, and they're here to explore trade and investment long-term cooperation. How do you see this?
Well, the investment part is interesting. I always say I like to understand what these trade missions can offer from an investment point of view. There's a lot of sectors that are new. For example, in Grenada, we have the creative sector. And that is something that the orange sector that we need to see how we could get other people to invest in particular areas for young people in that sector. So it's going to be interesting to see where and what are the priority areas for the investment. From the trade point of view, over the years, I have said that big countries like India coming to Grenada and say they want a container of nutmegs is not something that we could do. So I always believe that our capacity to produce is limited based on size and so on. So I always believe for these trade things, we need to form partnerships with companies in India which have 1 billion plus people. So if we were to say export our nutmeg and have them do nutmeg oil and do something with it and sell it for us, a bottle of nutmeg oil, what their productions could do will be a lot less costly than we could do here. So I think that is a way we should look at these trade investments, try to develop partnerships. We have very unique products, Moses Essence and the Governor General's nutmeg syrup and so on. Those are things that we could form partnerships.
Because something I saw is Canada is Grenada's second largest source of tourism after the US, and maybe our guests will clarify this, but clearly important. They have the capital, India, too, that we could benefit from, certainly. But what we've seen here is that, so the positive aspect of that is open doors for agri-tech, education partnerships. So they have the capital we want. But one of the things we've seen here, we've seen very, very almost no report, no update with past missions. We have MOUs, but again, few turned into factories, jobs. Is this PR or what's going on?
And this is why I keep saying, let us look at partnerships for trade, because we don't have capacity to produce and export consistently. We had in the past, country X may come and say they want a container of dasheen, for example, of a certain size and so on. When you check the farmers and what's going on, we could probably do 1 20-foot every 6 months. Now these countries will want a 20-foot or 2 a month. So we at a stage where we're not at the capacity levels to handle that. So let us, you in a business may have $1 million revenue income. If you go to India and form a partnership, you may move from 1 million to 100 million just because of population size.
Okay, Chris, I will move on. Jamaica is now negotiating third country nationals deal. They're looking at 10,000. The numbers we have for U.S. deportations to the Caribbean in 2023 was over 4,000 people. But the interest in this is happening. Where is Grenada in this? We're not hearing. I mean, we know the request was made. Was it a definitive no?
No, I think the foreign minister had indicated that they were willing to look at what, the U.S. was planning and who, and get profiles and understanding whether it's criminals or not, and all of that. So I suspect Grenada is going to be in a position to say, yes, we're willing to accept, but under certain types and conditions. So in other words, the U.S. can't deport people from Nicaragua to Grenada because they have no social context, they have no history. How would they?
But by all islands, the Caribbean accepting deportees, are we buying into U.S. immigration policy? Because what about the security risk, the strain on small population like us, reputational damage, we're like a prison island.
Correct. There's a lot about that? Yes, there must be, and I think that's why Grenada took the option of saying that there are a lot of terms and conditions for us to accept them.
Yeah.
If it's Grenadian nationals, fine. They know the country, they know it's an island state and all of that, and what they're coming back to.
Yeah.
But criminals come in and merging into society, and we have no control, and so on, is another issue.
Yeah.
So I suspect some countries are quicker to accept it, especially those where the U.S. using their visa as a weapon.
Exactly, and we follow the money because they're paying you for that. You know,
well, I'm not sure what they're paying and how much they're paying.
Okay.
When they used to do it in South Africa, they paid.
Chris, transport has been on the news lately. The bus owners, operators are seeking price increases. The government has responded, indicating that they've spent $1.7 million in direct support, some 1.4 in fuel tax rebate, and another 250,000 plus in concessions. And they are now considering further support through 50% rebate on tires and spare parts. And they've also set up an independent committee to look at the justification for a price increase, because the operators are saying, look, it's a long time, many years since they have had that. But given the increased costs for operators, is it justified for them seeking increases here?
I have no issue in seeking increases based on how the conditions economically have changed with the operational costs. And you cannot argue that there have not been increases in operational costs. However, I have to have a however. However, I think there needs to be a clearer, detailed analysis of how the costs have moved. So, for example, I heard the president of the Bus Association saying for short trips they want to move to 50% increase, 50 cents.
50 cents.
And for longer things, $1.
$1,
Now, remember, let's take a Granans bus, for example. A Granans bus, an average Granans bus may make 10 trips a day. It could be more or less. 50 cents per passenger for 15 passengers one way is a 50% increase on the current. If the price now is $2.50, it goes to $3 one way by 15. So the 50 cents by 15, and when they're coming back is another 50 cents by 15 if they filled at 15. So the point is, deeper analysis needs to be made to understand how the revenues are going to grow by the increase versus the cost. And if it's justified, and I suspect this is what the independent commission is going to do, say to the busman, okay, you're asking for 50 cents, based on their analysis, you won't get 25 cents or you won't get 75 cents.
But the government approach is correct.
I think so. I think it's a reasonable approach.
Chris, we're moving along. Look, CBI is on the agenda again. We're just learning that Ireland has, come in to send kids, Antigua, to say, look,
visa restrictions.
Visa restriction. Turkey had done it just recently, a month ago. But the point here, Chris, selling citizenship, dangerous repetition, risk of sanctions, due diligence failure, fewer visa-free countries for us. Should we be pursuing this? And you've been in this sector a long time. Is it worth it, Chris?
Absolutely. Why?
With
the risks attached.
With the risk
so
attached?
let me put it here this way. This is a clear situation of I'll feed you fish till you're dead, or I'll teach you to fish. Right? These countries are countries that are losing investment because high net worth people, you can't tell them where to invest. That's their money. They decide to move in any jurisdiction they want. So they don't have control. So a lot of these countries that invest, European countries and so on, they have CBI programs themselves. And nobody says to them that they're not meeting certain security requirements, but they're telling us in the Caribbean that we have lapses.
They have the power, Chris. So you prepare for us to lose visa-free travel?
No,
is it worth it?
Our passport has 140 countries.
But it's diminishing.
It's diminishing, but by how much? And I tell you, you can't tell a high net worth person where to put their money. So even though we diminish by 10 or 20%, they may still come to Grenada. Because Grenada offers not only passport, we offer a country where you could come and live in peace and security.
So why Barbados, St. Vincent and others are saying, look, this thing is too risky, too dangerous for us. We're going to stay out of it.
St. Vincent going to start there soon.
Okay. Because I'm going to move on.
Yes.
The Diaspora Homecoming, Chris. Big. Starting this weekend, I think, Chris, there's a huge agenda, program, rollout. But the point I want to, and this is good, because I want to clearly identify the importance of the diaspora in terms of the contribution they make to development, the remittances, the community. They're our people, they're us. we're together here. No issues here, Chris. But let's look at the timing of this, yeah? So this homecoming now is geared, some persons have saying it has been politicized, meaning that the politics is now infused into it, because we see that the current government, the NDC, is fusing its mega rally and its not AGM, sorry, but its convention to coincide with the homecoming. Do you think this is
a conflict of interest to some degree?
Yes.
I believe so. I mean, at the end of the day, the diaspora homecoming is about bringing Grenadians back, in my view.
Yeah.
To see what our country has to offer across all sectors and all fields. So that's a positive thing. There's nothing wrong with that. And based on what is happening in some of these first world countries, the US and Canada, and what is happening, a lot of Grenadians are now at a point where they believe it's time to come and look at home to see what is available from an investment point of view. So there's nothing wrong with that. However, I think when you commingle with, so to speak, with the politics, it sends a message that, you know, we're bringing you home for a political rally plus. And I think that is a little bit unfortunate. I think it should be kept above and beyond that. You may say, if you're coming home and I want to go to the rally, fine, there's nothing wrong, I can't stop you from doing that. But I think the primary purpose should be, for a national point of view, to see what the diaspora can contribute to us.
They say it's just, just coincidental. It's just coincidental.
In politics, we don't have coincidences.
But anyway, let's recognize that the diaspora remittances last count was 180 million plus.
Yeah, and remember,
homecoming aims to attract investments. You know,
now Mr. Trump
there's a
started taxing that. Eh?
Yes.
And interestingly, you know, we have apps now that is getting around that.
Yes.
We have apps now that you could digitally move money. And those send it to the traditional Western Union and them kind of things.
Chris, you talk about we're in a rainy season and the weather is perfect. I mean, like I see a lot of activities going on in terms of this is a planting season, perfect weather. But with the rains, Chris, what we're seeing is the drains are getting clogged up all over the place. Well, what have you noticed?
Yeah, and that is something that we need to pay attention to, because the crew that has cleaned the side of the roads and supposed to clean the drains, as soon as the rains start, there's a lot of debris in the roads, because Nawasa's projects in some areas, the road have not been repaired. So a lot of the stuff that they put there is not washing away into the main road. So for example, if you're coming from Caribini and you want to go up to Marion, there's almost a hump based on rubbish things are in the road. And some of the drains are getting clogged up with all the things washing them. So they need to pay attention to that
in fact, I saw some numbers it's saying that only about 30% of the drains are cleaned pre-rainy season. So you see the problem. You see the problem there. And we have a problem with trucks again. You know, drivers say there's no space. Trucks park on the main roads, obstructing traffic.
Well, you know, there's a huge proliferation of parking of vehicles on the side of the road. And it's not personal only. Businesses that have businesses, their staff, probably all of them have vehicles, or majority, and they have no way for the staff to park. So they're parking on the side of the road, and it narrows the road. Could you imagine a big truck coming down? The right-hand side of the road is parked with vehicles, and the left-hand side, it narrows the road. So your averaging has to be careful, or you have to slow down to make sure that you don't have a collision. So it's a safety issue, and I don't know how to solve it.
And it should be addressed. Chris, I mean, we don't have a lot of time left on this work. I just want to make this point. The UK is banning social media like TikTok, like YouTube, and others, Facebook, for on the 16th, and this coming as soon as next year, early.
I believe,
and they're indicating like the impact on it protects kids from cyberbullying, predators, mental health damage, reduces distraction in schools. It kills. This would kill youth entrepreneurship. People argue against it. Who would enforce it?
Well, you know,
is it something we should be considering here?
I believe so, because the huge problem for the young people is filtering. So much information comes to them that, to me, they're not sure what is the correct thing or the not correct thing. Remember when Japan did this? Japan did it to curb the suicide rate among young people. Yes, Japan have a society, if you don't do well, a lot is based on performance educationally and so on. The young people get depressed and they do that. But in some of the Facebook and some of these sites, social sites, they actually show you how to conduct a hanging or a suicide. So they train you on what to do and what not to do for it to be successful. I mean, so we need to protect our young people, because between 16 and 23, your brain's still developing to a certain amount, and how you handle stress.
But I want to do that before, under 16, yes?
Yeah, and we need to protect, we need to let the young people know that failure is not the end.
Yeah.
The thing about success is how you get back up from the failure.
Yeah.
So it's not about because you fail, everything ends.
But let me just say though that there's no law here, but the Ministry of Education has issued a guidelines, but no enforcement. Yeah, so that's where we are.
I think
Any
we
other
should
matter,
get there.
Chris?
Yeah, well, you know, we always talk about gender-based violence, and we don't ever want to stop talking about it.
Yeah.
And we want to continue to encourage our men to treat our women as a human being and not get on as how we've been getting on with all the abuse, whether it with the wives or the significant others and their children. So it is something that we have to keep encouraging our men to be positive, and that conflict in any relationship with your family, where it has to start, is not by violence. Conflict is an area that we can resolve by talking and keep talking, or seeking help from somebody that could help you in how you manage your anger and how you display it. So I want to keep on encouraging our men. There are various ways to deal with conflict apart from abuse.
And everyone must know there are hotlines available, there's persons you can call and so forth. Viewers, that's this segment. We take a short break and we come back with our special guest. Stay with us.
Laboratories, providing quality care and expertise. Fit for life and allied laboratories. See our in-house doctors and our pharmacies. Get expert care and quality tests. When it comes to your health, you deserve the best. Fit for life and allied laboratories. We're taking care of Grenada.
MTV Vibes or Spice Mass. Spice Mass in Grenada. Spice Mass in Grenada. MTV Vibes of Spice Mass 2026. Grenada. MTV Vibes. Go Spice Mass.
Looking for the perfect pre-carnival fete? Then get ready for Rhythm and Spice, a Rotary brunch experience happening Sunday, June 28th from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Quarantine Point Recreational Park. Enjoy an afternoon of bold flavors, vibrant rhythms, and unforgettable vibes featuring Sakina and the Alpha One Band, plus guest artists and DJs. Early bird tickets are just $200 and available now on GoToFat.com. Dress code brunch chic, island elegance with spice-inspired tones. Hosted by the Rotary Club of Grenada. Proceeds support Rotary community projects. Rhythm and Spice, Sunday, June 28th, Quarantine Point Recreational Park. Sip, savor, socialize, support.
For Grenada to realize its true potential, we must all be a part of nation building. From every corner of the world, our sons and daughters carry the spirit of the Spice Isle in their hearts through culture, innovation, investment, and service. Now is the time to come home to your beautiful Tri-Island state, to reconnect with our roots, share our knowledge, to inspire our youth, and to help shape a stronger, more resilient economy for generations to come. We are all part of the collective journey to shape the future of our nation. Together, we are building a nation we are proud of, a nation defined by opportunity, unity, and purpose. Grenada is more than a place on the map. It is our heritage, our future, our home. We look forward to welcoming you.
Welcome back, viewers, and as we indicated before the break, our guest this evening is Ms. Stacey A. Liebert. She's the Chief Executive Officer of the Grenada Tourism Authority, and coincidentally, this is her 1-year anniversary since she adopted the position. Stacey has more than 15 years of leadership experience across destination marketing, tourism strategy, stakeholder engagement, and sustainable destination development. Her leadership has supported the rollout of Grenada's global marketing strategy, so she's really a person in strategy, strengthening the destination presence across key source markets and emerging markets, including the US, Canada, and the UK, and the Caribbean and Latin America. In 2026, Stacey received the Patois International Travel Award 2026, a gold award for excellence in destination development in the Caribbean, particularly recognizing her contribution to destination leadership and tourism advancement. So she's well qualified to move us to the next level. During that same award cycle, Grenada was honored as Destination of the Year in 2026. Caribbean experiences reinforcing the destination's growing reputation and sustainability. Stacey is certified in sustainable development, hospitality and tourism management, airline marketing and corporate governance. She is also an active contributor to regional tourism dialogue, moderating and participating in executive panels, etc., etc. So I cut it a little short. So Stacey, welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
It is a pleasure to be here.
Right, and I'm going to lead off with a few questions.
Sure.
To get as we say in the Caribbean, to get the baton going. Okay. All the West Indies are doing so well as we'd like them to. So when we look at the geopolitics in the world,
Yeah.
and being a tourism destination, tourism comes as our major sector apart from education services and construction.
Mm-hmm.
How is the geopolitics going to affect our cruise tourism and normal airline traffic to Grenada because of the rising cost in fuel in terms of airline rates, and of course for the cruise ships?
Yeah.
Rising cost of fuel, and how are we positioning to deal with any possible fallouts?
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because last year when I came into the post and we sat down to do the 2026 global strategy, you know, I started off by saying to my team, gosh, 54% reliance on the US. I don't know if anyone else feels uncomfortable, but I do. Mm-hmm. You never want to be so reliant on any
destination,
area, right? And so I said, guys, we need to start looking at emerging markets, Latin America, continental Europe, Africa, and of course Asia. And I know that you know, there were stakeholders who were saying, how are we going to do this because we don't have flights? But what we already knew was that we would have Delta, and Atlanta is one of the largest feeder markets, right, connecting hubs. And so we said, no, but we can do it, because as long as they can get to Atlanta, then they can get to Grenada, it's a direct flight. We're going to do this thing because we just cannot be reliant. And one of the terms that we continue to toss around is we need to diversify. Mm-hmm. Number one, we can't be reliant on any one market, but also we cannot be reliant on any one industry. We're heavily reliant on tourism. So let's put a strategy in place. And come January morning, we had the issue with Venezuela. Mm-hmm. And then right after that, the travel advisory went up. We went from level 1 to level 2. And we jumped into what almost became reactive mode. And I said, well, hold on, guys. Remember, we have a strategy now that informs, right? And we said, okay, what is the messaging here? It's always been the messaging. Grenada is safe. We're open for business. You can come here and have a perfectly memorable vacation experience, right? We didn't need to jump into crisis mode. Yes, we needed to have a plan in terms of how we amplify that message. And so that's what we did, because we already had a plan. And so it's very instrumental to have the foresight to say, we need to decrease market share. We understand that naturally the U.S. will always be the #1 source market for the region. It's not just
Yeah, yeah.
Grenada. I just want
Because
to
of-
make that clear.
Because of the geography.
And right, it's the direct flight. Within 4 or 5 hours, you are sun, sand, and sea, and you know all the other things that make us unique. But what we certainly can do is we can, see some of that market share go to the UK, the Caribbean, the region, which for me, the region is low-hanging fruit. We have regional flights,
Yeah, yeah.
right? 20 minutes you're in St. Vincent, 20 minutes you're in Trinidad, 40 minutes you're in Barbados, and now you have a long weekend that you can sort of enjoy a complimentary experience.
And let me add to the fact now that we have a flight coming from Panama.
Yes,
You can go via Barbados
Yeah.
and go direct to Panama.
right?
You can go via
Correct.
Trinidad, Copa,
Correct.
flying into Trinidad.
Correct.
So we have a foot into this South American
You do.
geography, so
do,
it's
you
for
do.
us to develop on that.
Yes.
Barbados now have a direct flight from Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
So you could go from Barbados to the African continent, and from Nigeria you could go any part
And
of
it's not going to
Africa.
take you 24 hours
That's
anymore.
right. So we're seeing already movement
Yes.
in the industry to, you don't have to go through the US every time you travel.
Right.
Or go
right,
to England.
Right.
You
Right.
can start using direct flights. So are we
Yeah.
positioning to get on board with these kind of, as they develop? Because if Panama
Absolutely.
comes, more will come.
Absolutely. And, that's why we said, listen, guys, we don't have to have direct lift to be able to benefit from, guests coming from Latin America, because here's what we know about the Latin American market. We battle with seasonality. We know after Spice Mass, we
Yeah.
start to get a little quiet. Because we're outside of the hurricane belt, it positions us to be able to market as a 12-month destination, not just in terms of stayover guests, but also in terms of yachting. We know that in the Caribbean, if you look at, let's say, St. Martin, Anguilla, St. Bart's, a lot of those yachts go to the Mediterranean or into the U.S. come April, May, because then the hurricane season, we're now in the hurricane season. We have the opportunity for them to come to Grenada, whether to dry dock or to be able to extend the season, because now we're outside of the hurricane belt, right? So when you talk about seasonality, the Latin American traveler travels during that time of year when we have seasonality. So we have August, September, October, because it's colder there, right? So they look for places they can do is warm. So like you said, it's Copa, one stop in Barbados. Now we just have to work with one of our regional travelers to then, do that flight from Barbados to Grenada.
And let me go to your regional air travel, because
Yes.
that seems to be a challenge for us. We
Yeah.
have Liat and all that has gone on in Liat. Inter-Caribbean is there, but it's not as reliable as people would want.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the CARICOM and the OECS, we've been struggling with transportation for years.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
how to move people and offer freight to move goods and so on. So is there any part in your short or medium-term plan that you can encourage the region? Guyana is a fast-growing country, and Guyanese, as their wealth and their GDP increase,
Yeah.
want to look to travel to destinations that can give them a safe place to relax and enjoy.
Of course.
How are we positioning for that? I know it's a difficult question.
No, it's not difficult. It's just, there's something I want to say, but I can't yet. But you're going to see how, with governments, how we are having these strategic partnerships that will enable us to go to different destinations. And I'll tell you why, especially in the region. I mentioned it's low-hanging fruit. Right now, the Caribbean is our third largest source market, and I want to correct something that you just said.
Sure.
US is 52%. UK is back in number 2 at 15%. The Caribbean is 14%.
I'm aware.
Canada is down to 12%, right, in terms of our arrivals. We are pulling the market share because remember I said that in 2025 we ended at 54% for the US. So you see we're dispersing that between our other source markets. And last year, by the way, or earlier this year, the Caribbean was number 2, right? it says that the region has the disposable income to travel. We always think that we don't, but we do have the disposable income. It's just a matter of how do we make it affordable?
Good.
Because there are times when I have to go to Trinidad in the third week in July. The fare is $500 round
Yes.
trip.
US.
US.
Say the US. Say the US.
US. And I could fly to Miami, depending on when I'm looking
Yeah.
at, for a little bit less than that. And so that is naturally what people do. Might as well just go to US because, right? So we have to look at how do we make the fares cost effective. And we're working with the Caribbean Tourism Organization to have those conversations at a regional level, at my level, and at the ministerial level. Because what we're recognizing is that the regional carriers, they need financial assistance, right? Which they want some sort of seat guarantee. They want, us to look at fees and taxes. And that might not be something that we can do in a silo as a destination. We might have to look at something that may be a collective taxation, where it's just, they want just one sort of fee.
But in the past, we used to do that seat guarantee thing with the American
It's not
Airlines.
sustainable.
And it's not sustainable. And
It's
that
not.
they would insist that they get it to come
Yeah.
and put on flights. Now they have the roads.
Yeah.
Is no longer an issue, but we never explored for our Caribbean Airlines.
Yeah,
And the cost to operate Caribbean Airlines seem to be higher than normal because
Yeah.
of the short flights.
Yeah.
Carl just removed Dominica from the list, and you're seeing more of that happening.
Yeah.
So, are we as a region, and this is the challenge for us,
Yeah.
going to be able to guarantee businessmen? I mean, when I was in active business, the issue was you were filing for a board meeting to Trinidad.
Yeah.
There's not only the $600 you had to pay for the flight,
Yeah.
but you have hotel overnight and so on.
Correct. Yeah.
Right now, all of us move into Teams and
Yeah.
Zoom and do the meetings.
Yeah.
So you're losing revenue from that point of view, but for the business is more effective.
Yeah.
So the question is, how are we going to deal with this transportation issue? Because I know I hear you,
Yeah.
and where it's coming, but it's going to really need a regional approach.
I agree. We can't be, right now we operate in silos and it's working against us.
Yes.
And I think and that's the conversation that we're having right now at the regional level, is how do we collectively, and by the way, I understand that some people are frustrated because some of your viewers may be watching now and said, listen, since the beginning of time, we've been hearing
True.
that this
Very
discussion
true.
is happening, right? And they want to see a change and they want to see the needle move. I have to tell you that, we lose a huge market share to Europe, the Caribbean that is, to Europe, because it's easier. The Caribbean, 90% of our visitors arrive by air. In Europe, you can get from, different countries,
Italy to
whether
France,
it's air,
or
train, or
yeah.
even driving, right?
nice
We as
bus.
a region, we're heavily dependent on airlift. So it's something that is very much, critical for us to figure out what is the best way. Right now we see, multiple destinations who are partnering to share an MRG cost just to be able to get the business, because people want to get on a flight. They don't care if it's 3 hours or 7 hours or 8 hours, as long as they know when they get on the flight, they don't have to get on another one.
Yeah, because, and that's
Right.
my last observation to you.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of money in the last 10, 15 years to have international airports.
Yeah,
Bring them to a standard which can attract international flights.
correct.
And that has worked. Countries
Yeah.
spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
But we spending no money for regional airlines to come in and be, more
I won't-
affordable.
Yeah, I won't say
and
we're
so
not
on.
spending any money. I think the business model, that some airlines want to take is not a business model that the government of Grenada would want to take. Because why enter into a contract where you know that the financial implications will be a struggle? Not only that, if it is that I'm absorbing all the risk, then you're just going to sit back and relax. You're not going to put anything into the success of the flight because you're already getting your money.
When we had LEAT 1974,
Right? Yeah.
the countries used to put into the kitty to help deal with the cost.
Right,
And that failed.
right, yeah.
Because some countries felt some islands were getting more benefit from what was
Right,
happening
yeah.
than others.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just saying, I hear you. and I
Yeah.
am hopeful.
Yeah.
But we as Caribbean leaders need to get away from our silo approach
Yeah.
and put it as a regional
No,
approach.
I agree there, but I think that the approach that we take, which is we give marketing support, I think right now I think it's sustainable for us, and I think at least it's a shared risk between us and the airlines to be able to market the route. So it's not, again, the onus is not just simply on the destination, and that is sustainable. So we can say, okay, we'll market and we'll push, and together we do it collectively as
It's a
partners. So
volume
that's what
of
we do.
capacity could increase.
Exactly.
and have good
Correct.
rates.
Correct. But here's the other thing that airlines can't do. You can't decide today you're flying into Grenada and start flying tomorrow. There has to be a period where you are preparing, marketing, promoting, sensitizing travel and media
Yeah.
that this route is going to start six
Ex-
months from
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Because when you do that education and they know they have the option to book this route, then you find that there's more longevity versus there's no planning. You start, there's no build up, and then 6 months later, you're canceling the route.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if I had to travel to Antigua, it take me a whole day to get
Yeah,
there.
to get
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think about it.
Stacey,
Yes?
tourism leakage is
Yeah.
a major issue
Yeah.
throughout the Caribbean. Studies suggest that between 60 and 70% of tourism spending leaves the Caribbean economies through imported food, foreign ownership, management fees, and imported supplies,
Yeah.
particularly.
Yeah.
How serious is tourism leakage in Grenada?
Well, I can't give you the percentage, but I do know that that's a conversation we recently had about, money going back out, and how do we ensure that the money stays on the island. Here's what I have to say. The onus is on us,
Yeah.
Can you go use a bathroom at Granite Tank?
Yeah, no, you can't. There isn't one.
If you're thirsty, can you have a bottle of water? It is so beautiful. And people go in, they feed the monkeys, they look at the lake, and they leave.
So you're
We
not
need to-
tracking the leakage.
We need
leakage
to,
then?
we are, but not in, we know what the spend is,
Yeah,
I can
okay.
tell you what the per visitor spend is,
Yeah.
whether it's by stayover visitor and whether it's by cruise. And we can make a general assumption based on that, how much of it is going back out. And I have to tell you, it is definitely a concern across the board, across the region. It's,
Yes, that's
it's
what-
not,
yeah.
right, it's not just Grenada. But what we have to look at is how we keep, the funds in the country.
So what
again, it's-
strategies do you recommend,
So
or
the-
what strategies are on board to ensure that we do that? For
Right,
example,
yes,
let me just go here.
Yeah.
It's a critical area.
Yeah.
It's the agricultural sector, for
Of
example.
course, yeah.
What are the linkages, and how is the authority intervening in this area? Because
Yeah.
we can have a huge amount of dollars coming in, but if it's going back out,
Out, yeah, yeah.
then what's the purpose here?
So I want to remind you what the mandate of the GTA is.
Absolutely.
Right,
That's
which
important.
is it's to market the destination.
Yes.
And so, some of the times I think that people think we have more clout than we really do. Yes, we can advocate and we can have conversations in terms of, what are we, the discussions we're having abroad and what we're seeing, and bring it back in terms of what we need to do, right? But sometimes we are not the entity that needs to move it forward. But yes, there has to be some sort of collective vision and effort to be able to move the needle. Now, you talk about agriculture.
Yes, as one.
When you look at the trend in terms of why travelers travel today, and I think this is something that came out of the pandemic, where people now have a greater appreciation for health and wellness and healthy eating and, meaningful connection. You recognize that the reason why people travel and the destinations they choose is because of that, right? Now, we are a very lush destination. Agriculture was our mainstay before tourism, right? And where there are a handful of destinations that you go to, you can still go to the farm, the market, and get fresh fruits and vegetables, right? When you talk about farm to table cuisine, right? That you talk about, that's the heart of whether it's vegan, vegetarian, right? And so now, how do we ensure that our farmers are supplying whether it's your restaurants or your hotels. That's a linkage there, right? When you talk about culinary experience, are we doing authentic experiences? I love this nature spa experience where you go up to Mount Carmel, and while you relax and enjoy and do a hike, you have a chef Joachim, that's preparing a vegan meal for you, right? Again, that is
Participating in the oil up.
right, and that is authentic. I had oil down for lunch today, right? So that is an authentic experience, and even oil down. Last year we had a press trip that came in for Spice Mass. You know what every single person, influencer, media talked about was the day we brought them out into the country. They got to learn about the culture of jab, and they got to see how oil down is made from prep all the way to the end and having it, right? And that is the story that they wrote about. It's those immersive experiences. So now, how are we working with farmers? But I have to tell you, a recent symposium, one hotel says, if you as a farmer cannot provide the quantity that he needs, my guests need watermelons every morning for their breakfast. If I need, I don't know, what, 100 pounds of watermelon, I don't know how you, right? And you can only provide me with 50, chances are that's not consistent for me, right? So I think then we have to look at how do we make farming a little bit sexy again, because I think people think about it as back-breaking work, where again it sustains us as a community, as a country, but also it takes us back to that wellness, into that farm to table or sea to table cuisine. So I think those are some of the ways in which we can, again, it's farm to the hotel, but we keep that within the country. And so yes, exportation is part of that, but I think we have to work collectively.
Yeah, we have to be able to support ourselves.
Correct. Supply and demand. You have to be able to meet that demand.
So we put here that you've been on the job for 1 year.
Yes.
And let me congratulate you.
Thank you.
On this. What for you has been the two biggest accomplishments that you think was very important, critical?
The team.
The team.
Yes. Bringing my team together, it was important for me, for my team to buy into the vision, right? Because I think when you have buy-in and when they see their voice in the strategic vision of the organization, you get that teamwork. And tonight, for instance, my team stayed, two of my team members stayed with me at the office until I needed to leave to come here, but they were working. And it was not work for them because they buy into the strategic vision. So it's putting together that HR plan. We just recently had a workshop, a leadership workshop last Friday. And it was, again, learning about our leadership styles, learning, what we each need, because we recognize, we did this, DISC assessment and recognize that we're also different in terms of how we lead, how we process information.
First, we call it 360.
There you go, exactly. The 360 review, right,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so that has been, I have watched the organization make a shift. And I think stakeholders from the outside looking in has seen that shift. And they're now more engaged with the GTA, and the GTA more engaged with our stakeholders, both public and private. So for me, that has been
That's a crucial thing.
That is it, yeah.
Climate change, look, going into the tourism industry depends heavily on beaches, coral reef, marine ecosystem reliance. Climate change threatens all of this. Is climate change now, what is a threat to you? How do you view this?
Well, the threat to us is the sargassum. I think also, the weather and yes, the sea bleaching. Yeah, there's quite a few things. I think also, even though we're not within the hurricane belt, we see that from time to time we will get affected, right? We saw that almost 2 years ago. And so, we are, having a discussion, especially around, let's say, sargassum, right? We can't do anything to completely get rid of it. So how do we then turn it into, whether it's fuel, right? How would we use it to our advantage? And so that is a discussion we're having. Actually, the OECS has a grant that they're doing something, and there was a sensitization session about how Grenada can, and other Caribbean destinations that are affected, turn sargassum into fuel. I remember several years ago they were saying, oh well, take it and use it into your farming, but they recognized that it was so high in iron that it wasn't healthy, and you should not use it in your farming.
Be careful.
You have to be careful.
Tourism growth increases demand for water, like energy waste management. Are we approaching the limits of our infrastructure? You think?
No, I need more rooms.
Yeah.
Currently, we have 2,500 between our three islands in terms of room inventory. Last year, we were at an 11% increase for spice mass. And this year, I'm a little bit nervous because we've added more flights during that period, and they're booked. There's nowhere for people to stay, but people are calling us every single day to find out, has anything opened up in terms of room stock? Has there been any cancellations? Are you adding more flights? And so I know last year we needed more flights, and we were able to have a conversation with Caribbean.
Capacity, you believe?
We have capacity limitations, and what I'm happy for
In
is that
accommodation,
in
but yeah.
accommodations,
Well,
yes,
yeah.
in accommodations,
Okay.
we don't lack for things to do when people are on the island,
Okay.
right? In terms of adventure and right.
Products,
In terms of the
products,
experiences,
experiences.
yes. But yes, we have room to grow, which is great because you want to grow at a pace that is manageable for the destination. We don't want to have an issue where we're over tourism and we're commercialized, and so even our locals can't enjoy where they live. I think right now people are wanting to travel to destinations that are off the beaten path, that's still undiscovered. I think when you've been to certain destinations, you're looking for the next thing, right? And we know that it's not sun, sand, and sea because you can travel to anywhere for sun, sand, and sea.
We have to take a short break now, Chris.
When we come back,
short break.
I want to-
We have to take a short break, viewers. When we come back, we'll come back in shortly. Stay with us.
Is the air you're breathing really clean? At Allied Laboratories, we offer indoor air quality testing for commercial and residential spaces. Our rapid test results provide precise ratings of common air contaminants and will recommend the best actions to eliminate them effectively. Why do an indoor air quality test? Protect immunocompromised occupants. Detection of mold and bacteria. Identify volatile organic compounds. Identify matter. Identify harmful pollutants that may otherwise go undetected. Enhances safety and comfort. Breathe easy and live healthier. Allied Laboratories, bringing quality laboratory services directly to you.
In Grenada, sports aren't just a game. They're a way of life. Discipline. Generation to
Okay, welcome back, viewers. We're here with the CEO of the Grenada Tourism Authority. One question before I move you to Chris.
Yeah.
Biggest threat to Grenada's tourism?
Woo. Biggest threat to Grenada tourism. Lack of diversification.
Elaborate on that, yeah.
So the product. I think we have great product, but I think it's just a matter of ensuring that it tells the true, authentic story of Grenada. And it's not just, for instance, what will Fort George look like when it's turned over to government, and and how are we going to ensure that it preserves that story, but also can serve multiple purposes, right? Whether it's a museum, art gallery, are we looking at perhaps hosting events, because in my opinion, it's one of the best views. There's such an amazing space, but it's also an amazing story, right? And again, it goes back to why people travel to the destination and why they choose Grenada over another destination. So I think we have to be careful in terms of how we, develop our product, and I think that could be the greatest threat.
Well, one of the things, I mean, tourism generates employment, but many young Grenadians question whether they can advance into management and leadership roles.
Yeah.
Are Grenadians moving into senior management positions quickly enough?
Probably not as quick as they would want to, but here's the thing, again, it's shared ownership. You have to have a plan, which is the employee has to have a plan for themselves and be invested in their growth and development, right? I can bring you to the water just like I could teach you to fish. But you also have to do the work on your own as well. We have training. We have a Pure Grenada Excellence program. We have training. I could tell you the amount of times people will say, yes, we're coming to the training, and of the day of, half people don't show up.
Correct. That's across every sector.
Right? And also, we know that if you don't have the right attitude towards training and development, I could give you all the materials. The work begins when you have to put that into action. So I think that, yes, it's not as fast as we would like it to be, but I certainly have seen, I think Spice Island Beach Resort is a perfect example of that, right? Where they make the investment to their staff, but the staff also makes the investment in themselves. Yes, exactly.
So what skills will a tourism worker need in the coming decade? Where should that person be going?
I could tell you something. If you come to me for a job, and I look at your resume, I'm not looking necessarily that you have all the requirements. But when you sit in front of me, what I am measuring is your attitude, because that's one thing you can't train. And that's, unfortunately, is what we're seeing a lack in. I think a lot of people think service is servitude, right? It's not something that for some people come naturally. And think about why you go back to your favorite restaurant, right? It's not just the food, and it's maybe not just even the atmosphere. It is going to be the service, how that person makes you feel. And when we talk to visitors and we say, okay, why do you go back to that destination year over year? It's how the people make me feel. And so we have to really move from a place of thinking of this is just a job. It is, I'm serving someone.
Well, what about the skill sets? Should I be looking at artificial intelligence, digital marketing, data analytics, sustainable management? Where am I going?
Why not? I use ChatGPT every day, and if you're not, you are not being smart about your growth.
I'm using others.
Yeah, but you use some sort of, exactly, you're using an AI tool, right? It helps with efficiency. You're not 100%.
Time reduction.
Exactly. You're not 100% reliant on it, right? But it does help to be able to streamline things. That is going to be something that someone can, that's a job, that's someone, a skill that they can develop,
But
because now
our young people will not have a choice just now. Almost every facet of the training and education is going to be assisted by AI.
Yes, absolutely.
So the quicker you get familiar with the various platforms, the easier it's going to be.
I think also you have to come out of the mindset that if you're going into hospitality, you're going into to be a server, a host, front desk, housekeeping. I think when people think about hospitality, they don't recognize all the other things that you can do, marketing, back of house, right? So I think it's education.
Butlers and so on is a highly specialized job.
It is. It is.
I want to move it to another issue of Airbnb and its contribution to the product and the offerings, and whether GTA sees it as a disruptor or sees it as an asset of some sort that can assist with rooms being up to a particular standard.
I think let's answer it both ways. I think as an asset, because again, I just mentioned that we want more room inventory, right? But I think it has to be done correctly. I think for a hotel, you have to be inspected before you even put that room into, or that hotel into GDS or service, right? And so we need to have the same expectations that we will come in, we will inspect to ensure everything, at least the basic amenities are there in terms of what people expect when they rent a short-term rental. So right now, I think throughout the region, there are Airbnb properties that are operated illegally, meaning that they have not gone through any QA in any sort of standard. They're not licensed or registered. And I think it's also an issue for government because government is collecting taxes, if you will, from other accommodation segments. So it should be the same across the board.
Key in terms of the offering and the service.
Exactly.
So if a room has to have air condition and whatever, you should be at the standard of that.
Exactly.
How is Carriacou featuring to, when you look at what is happening in Carriacou and the speed of its development?
Yeah.
Lobster Fest was a big thing and was a great thing. And it's now going to be something on their calendar as well. And you can't get space. I tried to get in, I couldn't get space. But how are we looking at Carriacou? I know there are projects coming for Carriacou for room capacity and so on. How is the GTA looking to develop it, both from airline transportation as well as room stock?
So it's interesting because when I first came in and I went to Carriacou to engage stakeholders, what we heard from them was that they don't see themselves in the strategy, right? They're sort of lumped in, we say Grenada. And so, what we wanted to be very intentional about when we drafted the strategy for this year and beyond is that we either say our trial in state, because a lot of people, because we say Grenada, don't even know we're a trial in state, right? Or we say Grenada, Carriacou, Petit Martinique. We're very intentional about that, so people know that we have 3 islands. Also, when you think about off the beaten path, they are the very definition of that. Absolutely. The type of traveler that will stay in Carriacou and Petit Martinique is different than the visitor that will stay in Grenada. So what we're looking at is day trips, right? To be able to get visitors to visit for a day, because we know if they experience it, the next time they come to Grenada, now they could say, we'll split the trip, we'll spend a couple of nights there, and that's how we are positioning it. Also, I think what would be great is that there is a niche of traveler retirees. We call them snowbirds. Snowbirds, there you go. If you live in a cold climate country, you want to be able to go somewhere where it's warmer, right? And so we have the opportunity to be able to see people stay in Carriacou and PM, whether it's for 3 or 6 months out of the year. I think they're very well positioned for that. What I would love to see the both islands keep is that bed and breakfast villa product, right? And that's what we're promoting. But also when we have conversations around investment and people are talking about investment, I was like, Grenada, mainland Grenada is not your only option, right? And I was trying to steer them over to Carriacou and Petit Martinique, right, to discuss investment. So yes, we want to see the room stock grow, and thank you to True Blue because they are going to be adding that new eco-friendly property, 30 rooms. We're very excited about that because I think it's going to add that different product, right, to the offerings. And then in terms of air, SVG Air is what we have right now. We're going to be working with them, seeing how we add, whether it's a later flight, because sometimes, people want to be able to stay the night and come over just for their flight. So if they, if there's a 12 noon flight, right?
Strip lighted so we can facilitate.
I believe that is the case. Yes, I believe that is the case now. So they can come in a little bit later to be able to facilitate those day trips.
And SVGA compliments to them. They have been very consistent.
They have been. And we have a really great relationship. Hi, Dexter.
Stacey. Yes. Look, you have inherited one of our biggest industry. 40-45% of GDP, Chris, providing thousands of jobs. But here's the thing with this. Many tourism activities remains concentrated south, southern corridor. Many communities in St. Andrews and Carriacou, St. Patrick's, wherever, they feel excluded. Is tourism development becoming geographically concentrated? I mean, to what extent is the authority thinking about this? Of course, you indicated that your focus is on marketing. But of course, you market for an experience. So rural people are saying, look, we are not benefiting sufficient from the growth in this sector.
I understand that. I understand. And what I'm happy about is recently something came across my desk on some new developments that you will see in the rural areas. But we're talking about 2028,
Okay.
29, thereabouts. So
It takes some time to
something,
develop.
it takes some time, especially depending on where you want to build, how you want to build. We want to ensure that, it's quality over quantity,
Yeah,
right?
less is more.
Less, less is more. We're not really trying to have perhaps some
Mass
large
production,
developments.
Yeah.
But I think that from what I am seeing, I'm going to tell you that the future for Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique looks very bright.
I'm going to sleep well tonight.
Yes.
But one of the things is safety, reputation, and visitor experience
Yeah.
is important.
Yes.
One negative incident can spread globally within hours, social media.
Yes, correct.
Our city, particularly when we look at the cruise ship industry, that sector, we
Yeah.
look at the coroners, we look at certain parts of the city that we've had visitors accidents also. What is the role the authority playing in this to highlight at least or to address these issues?
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that because we have a great relationship with other governmental
Yeah.
entities. So
Right,
we
yeah.
have, a great synergy with the police force, as a matter of fact, because we are in, control of the Spice and Craft Market and
Yeah,
Grand
yeah.
Anse Beach, right?
Yeah.
As you can imagine,
that's a good
security. You were there for soup. You were at Esther's.
Yeah, I went by TC's for soup.
Oh, there you go. We work in terms of the security element, but we also have, other conversations in terms of what is happening, especially on cruise ship days and during cruise ship season, just to ensure safety. So there is a great synergy, even though it might not fall within our remit, it doesn't mean that we can't advocate. I don't want you to think that we don't advocate, because we do. Because I think a lot of people, when they think tourism and they think about the sector, the GTA is usually the first point of contact. And I have to tell you, if there are 8 hours a day, I'm putting out fires probably 7.5 hours of the day.
Well, we're coming close to the end of this, and before I pass to Chris for the final say,
Yeah.
well, when we look back, historians, we look back at how your tenure as CEO of the authority
Yeah.
was, what do you hope they will say was the single most important contribution you made to Grenada's development tourism sector?
That's the, and I'm going to go back to people because I
Yeah.
think that is very important.
Okay.
That the GTA has, number one, I would like to be the CEO that has helped to develop the first Grenadian CEO of the GTA. And I have identified someone already within my organization
That's interesting.
that could take over at the helm. I'm very much, it's all about succession planning,
Okay.
right? And so the goal is
Idea.
really to promote from within
Yeah.
and hire at the lower. So, there's purpose and people can see themselves growing.
Yeah.
Even if they identify a position and they hit that position and they want to now grow out, then we've given them the tools to be able to succeed anywhere.
Wow.
So I want that to happen not only just in the GTA. I want to contribute that to the hospitality industry throughout the island, right? The 3 islands.
Right.
So I'm really much pushing our Pure Grenada Excellence program and also working in tandem with GHTA on their training programs as well. So that's the legacy I want to leave.
Beautiful. Chris?
Listening to you, I was very impressed with your leadership training, because
Yeah.
I think that is critical
It is.
for the development of your people.
Yeah.
Leadership, could be taught, but at the same time, you need to understand you have the natural traits to be a leader.
Yeah.
It's not about insisting, but getting to go along with your people.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to hear that, and it seems as though your communication style also is holistic, because you have to listen, not hear, but
Yeah,
listen.
you do. You
And
do.
then react
Yes.
appropriately, and your leadership training to your staff, I think, is going to help.
Yes.
And you've just mentioned succession planning, which we don't ever do in statutory organizations. So it's a pleasure to hear you talk about that. We don't do that politically, so
This is transformative.
that's transformative. So it's a pleasure, Tracy. I'm listening to you this evening and what you're thinking and where you're going with GTA, and we really hope that, as we meet risks every day geopolitically and internationally that is going to threaten your sector.
Yeah, of
One
course.
bad hurricane season could put us back, and
That is true.
we always have to be cautious and planning how we could deal with the wrong side risks and be able to react to that. And, it's a pleasure having you here. I mean, we're trying hard to get someone like you here to talk about that sector.
But
But it's so important to the country and the people of the country. So it's glad that you're here, and we're happy to have you. And probably we'll invite you back again later on. down the road.
Probably.
Yeah.
I was looking for a more definitive
Well, now that we have met, and you see who Byron and Chris is, we will invite you back.
And Chris, I just want to mention that they are collaborating with the Ministry of Agriculture, the 4-H unit, in the preparation for the Grenada Flower and Garden Festival.
yes.
Oh, yeah. That is another amazing thing we don't market enough.
Excellent. Yes.
And the 4-H, I mean, you're going to get a lot. This is a
We didn't talk about the Chelsea Flower Show.
Yes.
Yeah,
19 goals.
19 goals.
Yeah.
I don't think
Look at
any
that.
other country have done
Never.
that.
I don't think so either. Yeah,
You know,
it's amazing.
Yes, I mean, it's
I'm going to give you a
testimony
moment, 30
to...
seconds to make any final comments you wish to make.
So, when I came in, what was very important to me outside of the team was the stakeholder engagement, because we cannot go it alone.
Yeah.
And I have to say that I really want to thank the private and public stakeholders, because the buy-in has been there. I think it helps because we include them in the strategy from the beginning, so they know the direction they're going. So now the GTA is not the only party that is reaching out and saying, we're doing this, would you want to participate? They're also reaching out and saying to us, hey, we're hosting a farm, do you want to provide an experience, right? Or, hey, you guys, I see that you guys are going XYZ, can we also? Because they recognize that collectively is how we will succeed, and I'm very happy about that. Really and truly, I think it's a great time to be leading, to be at the helm at the GTA. I think across the board, I like the cooperation that I'm getting. Everyone has been very warm, so it's been great living in Grenada as well. So, that's just what I wanted to say. I really wanted to say thank you to everyone that has been lending support and encouragement. And it's not just encouragement. People reach out to say, listen, I think y'all should go at this a different way. And we don't mind that either.
We want to wish you well, and certainly the
Thank
one
you.
word that stuck with me tonight is team.
Yes.
Viewers, that's all the time we have. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Bye-bye. Good evening.